Welcome to Payroc, Wyoming's spotlight on local businesses and nonprofits, where we try to shine the light on incredible people that make our community thrive. Today we have Carlia Coulter with us, who is the executive director of Casper Family Connections. I have to admit, I met Carlia about 6 months ago, and I didn't know that Casper Family Connections existed, but I can tell you that I'm grateful that this organization is here in Casper, and Casperites have access to this service. So thank you, Carlia, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So why don't we just start by talking about who is Carlia, and what do you do at Casper Family Connections, and what does Casper Family Connections do here in Casper?
Okay, so I am Carlia. I am the executive director. I have been with Casper Family Connections since 2013. I started as a visitation specialist after I received my bachelor's in social work here in Casper. I did that for 4 years. They had a changeover and needed a new director, and I figured, who better than me? So I applied and I got the job and have been directing Casper Family Connections ever since.
That's great.
I'm very excited about it. We do supervised visitation for our community, so children who are in foster care or through the Trona County courts refer to us as well. We do safe exchanges, and we have a co-parenting class as well. We also have mental health services.
Got it. So is the focus working with divorced parents, or what type of parents or families do you actually work with?
Not necessarily just divorced. It's any parents,
Okay.
Any family member, actually. So the referrals we receive through Department of Family Services are usually children who are on foster care, so they're unable to visit with their family for whatever reason. So we facilitate those. Through the courts, it's usually during divorces or a parent who just got out of jail and hasn't seen their child in a while, so just reintroducing them to one another.
Okay, so you provide a safe place
Yes.
for those visits?
Yes. Yep. So we audio and video record all of the visits, and then we have a live. It's watched live as well. So somebody watching for any safety concerns that may come up during that time.
Okay. Some people might not realize why that's important. Why is it important to create a safe place for these family visitations?
Yeah. So unfortunately, these children usually are not in the home due to trauma that has occurred in their home, whether it be abuse, exposure to violence, drugs, anything like that. So being in a safe place, a place where it's supervised, we can make sure that they're no longer exposed to that. Unfortunately, sometimes when parents are using or are not healthy, they can bring their children into that. So we watch for safety concerns that are mental as well.
Right.
We redirect conversations and make sure that they're age appropriate, and
Right.
just make sure that they can enjoy their time together.
Right. So this subject in itself is not an easy subject to talk about. I remember you've shared a few testimonials of how CFC has helped different families, and they're not always easy to listen to, but they're important to listen
Yeah.
to, and they're important for Casper, for Wyoming to have a service like this. So as we talk about this, as we start this podcast, there might be some cuts in it, so we can refocus, because it's not easy to talk about all of these subjects. So besides creating this safe place, what are the other services that you provide? First, let's talk about what is a safe place. What does that mean to be a safe place? Why can't they meet at their own homes? Why can't they meet at McDonald's or wherever? Why is that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when a child is removed from the home and they're unable to visit with their parents unsupervised, it's due to that trauma that could continue to be put on that child. So having a safe place, we're a neutral party. We're not associated with the parent. We're not associated with the child. And we can just make sure that they can come have a good time together.
Right.
If they're being done outside of a secured setting like we have, usually it's another family member or a friend or somebody like that who is supervising.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, sometimes those people don't have everybody's best interest in mind. So they could allow conversations that are inappropriate for the children. They could allow behaviors that are inappropriate. Other times I've heard about where they have not wanted the parent to have visits, so they've created stories about how it went so that they could be stopped in visitation. So having a setting like Casper Family Connections, we can make sure that it's neutral. Like I said, we video and audio record them, so those videos can be used in court if they need to be to show how their interactions are. We have a written documentation from our staff of how the visits went, so there's that point of view that is also available. So everybody is able to use it.
Okay. So is the purpose to limit exposure to violent situations, to stop trauma from occurring, things like that? That's the main focus?
I think it's a dual purpose. Like, we want to prevent the children from being in those situations, but we also want to continue to foster that relationship with their parents. Because no matter what happened, children still love their parents.
Right.
They still need to have a relationship with their parents. So until they are either able to go home due to the parents working their case plan, or the state decides that is not a good place and they determine that termination is necessary, they still need to be able to have that time.
Right. That's what makes it complex from my view, because I'm not in your shoes, but what I can imagine is that it's not easy because, like you said, children still love their parents. Yeah. And so deciding when too much trauma is too much is not an easy decision. I know it's not your decision either. There's other the court system, and there's other factors that are involved. But doesn't matter how much trauma a child goes through. There's still that affection, which is normal, and that bond of love is still there. So it makes your job even more difficult because you see all of that.
Yes. One thing that people don't think about is that when a child is removed from a home, that doesn't mean they're just done. Their rights are taken. They're not. They still have their parental rights. It is actually court ordered that parents continue to have a relationship with their children. They are court ordered to have visits. Right. So no matter what happened, we can't just be like, you're done. So it is important to make sure that in those times that those kids can be safe.
Right, absolutely. That's interesting that the court wants to maintain those relationships with which is great. That's great to hear. But I didn't expect that, because it is extremely complex, and I'm not going to even start to imagine that I can figure things out, because it's a very complex situation. Yeah. So you create these safe places where people can come to your office and they can meet with their children. Describe to us what do these safe places look like?
So we have we have 4 visitation rooms, and we try to make them as home-like as possible. There's furniture, tables, we have microwaves in the rooms, TVs. We have a full kitchen. They can come and cook a full meal with their kids. We want it to be as close to being at home as possible.
Right.
So
that's one thing that I noticed, and I mentioned that to you when I was in your office, was just the emphasis you put on the kitchen or the family setting, because I think that's something in general we miss in America. We're getting away from newer and newer homes don't always have a dining room, but a lot happens in the dining room table, and those exchanges, those conversations that we have, the community that's created by eating a meal together. We're losing that slowly in this modern society that we have, and it's not a good thing. It's
right.
And so I think to put the emphasis on those family connections in a kitchen, I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
Are there other services that you provide besides the safe places, or is that the main focus of?
So our visits is the main focus, but we also do safe exchanges. So a safe exchange, is when both parents are okay with the children outside in their own setting, but they can't be together. So our safe exchange will take away any conflict that could happen during those exchanges. So, like, for example, if the kids are living with mom full time and they're going to go to the weekend with dad will come, mom will bring the kids to us, we'll bring them into dad will wait a few minutes, mom will leave, and then dad and the kiddos can leave. Okay. And then we'll just do it in reverse on the way back. So then they are able to still have that outside relationship with both parents, but they don't have to worry about their parents getting into an argument or fighting while together.
Got it. Okay. Do these safe exchanges always in your office, or are there other places?
Nope, it always occurs in our office.
Okay.
I know that they have happened out in the community, we feel that it's better monitored within our facility. We're a lockdown facility, so nobody can get in. So it just makes it a little smoother.
Tell me about the staff in your office. Who works? There's probably more people in the office than just you.
Yeah. So we have a couple visitation specialists who watch the visits live. We go through an extensive training, 6 weeks, to train them on what to watch for, how to intervene if they need to, how to end a visit if necessary, how to document, all of the necessary stuff needed to keep the kiddo safe. And then we also have a CSW. So her role is she can do a little bit more therapeutic role. So where there's more problems in the family, she can sit in the room and work with them directly. So some hands-on parenting with them, things like that. And then we have a couple therapists as well who can do the mental health aspect of it. So any counseling and therapy needs.
Okay. Why did you get involved? What's your backstory? Is there you just decided to get involved in family services?
I've always wanted to help people. When I was younger, I wanted to go into nursing. I thought that'd be a good role. I started having children young, had a couple really bad relationships. The last one was abusive and was scary. When I left it, my life was threatened and my children's life was threatened. And from there, I realized it didn't really even occur to me that this was something that we needed until I needed it. And we didn't have a place. Back then I didn't have a place to exchange my kids with him. So I was continued to be put in that situation. My kids were continued to be exposed to that violence. That happened during exchanges. So when I did hear about Casper Family Connections, I was like, yep, this is where I need to be.
There's a need.
There's definitely a need in our community.
Your family could have used that.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing today is what you could have used before.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So what are the core values? What's the mission statement of Casper Family Connections? What are they trying to accomplish?
Just creating that safe place for children to visit with their family and those close to them.
Over the years, have you seen that mission change? Have you tried to adapt? It's the same.
Nope. I am very set on our mission. Our mission is important. We are the only visitation center in Casper, the only one in Natrona County, actually. So there's no need to change it. It's important what we do. We don't need to add to it and recreate what other people are doing. We focus on what we're doing to make sure that we're doing it good.
Okay. What are the biggest challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis?
The biggest challenge is people not knowing about us.
Right.
We've been open since 2011, and people still have never heard of us. And that is my biggest challenge, is people knowing how important it is and also knowing why we do it.
Right, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the podcast, is because it's important that families know this service actually exists, because I'm sure a lot of families would need some place like that for the exchanges.
Yeah.
What are your aspirations for the future? Do you see things different than they are today?
I do not see it that much different. I would love to continue to have the staff and the ability to provide the services to all those that need it, to continue running without a wait list, and getting that's my goal. My goal is to just continue giving the people the service that they need.
So there's a wait list today?
There's not a wait list today.
Okay.
We are very careful to make sure we don't have a wait list.
Right.
It's making sure that we have staff and we have the space, so just having the staff to provide the service.
So do you see growth at all to be able to handle more of a workload, more of a caseload? Do you see that?
Well, we just hired a couple more visitation specialists.
Great.
So we'll be able to do a couple more visits in the evenings, which will be good. Kiddos that are in school, we close at 7, so they can only do visits from 4 to 7. So that's an important time. So we're bringing on another staff member during that time.
Oh, great.
So we'll be able to fill those Monday through Friday.
Do you think these needs are specific to a smaller town like Casper, or do we see these same needs everywhere?
No, these are needs everywhere. Everywhere. I just read an article the other day. Down in Colorado, there was a father sorry, this is a little graphic, who was killed during a child exchange. He got into an argument with the mom's boyfriend, and the mom's boyfriend pulled a gun and shot him right in front of everybody right at the gas station. So it's a need everywhere.
All right. I imagine it's difficult, 'cause sometimes I try to put myself in your shoes, to draw the line of when you see these kids, because you can't pull them away from traumatic experiences, but you need to monitor them. Your service helps to make sure that things don't continue. But at the same time, you can't be that mama bear that, takes these kids and say, well, we're going to pull you out and you're going to be, you're going to live with us for a while.
Right.
How do you draw that line to be, because you are a compassionate person, you are a mama bear, you have kids. Yeah. How do you draw that line of, this is the service I'm providing, obviously I'm showing care, but there's that line that says, there's only so much I can do.
Yeah, actually, that was really hard when I first started. I did find that I was getting attached to the kids, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then while watching it, just knowing that I just have to give faith to the system, that it will work out. And there are flaws, and not everything works out smoothly, but I just have to trust that everybody who's involved in this kiddo's life has this kiddo's best interest in mind. And I can keep them safe while they're at CFC, and then I have to trust that where they're going home to in their foster care is okay, and that everybody who is involved is paying attention.
Are there stories of where you've been able to stop something from continuing on, traumatic situations or abusive situations, whether it's verbal or whatever type of abuse? Are those stories quite commonplace?
Yeah, we've had a number of cases like that. One where a mom was blaming the child, saying it was the child's fault that they were in custody, even though the child the mom had been doing drugs and the child reported it, so it wasn't the child's fault. But so we stopped that one. That one ended up having to go therapeutic, so that it could be safe for the child. Another one where a parent was using food as a punishment at home, and they started that at CFC. Luckily, because we work closely with other community members, the therapist was able to see that and know, and they were able to stop those visits, to stop that abuse from continuing.
All right, so that's a positive impact. If we can use the word positive, that is a
absolutely
positive outcome.
Yeah.
Positive outcome of your services.
Yes.
Do you work with other nonprofits or other organizations in town? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we work closely with CASA. So they're the child advocacy. They speak for the children. So they come to our agency a lot. We actually have 2 of our visit rooms have two-way mirrors. So they're able to sit in there without being seen and watch a visit as well, because they watch for things that are different than what we're watching for. So that is something that we do quite often. Is that
a specialized organization? I've never heard of CASA before.
Oh, yeah. CASA's, it's nationwide, but we do have a good agency here. So they have volunteers that work for them, and they're trained through their CASA program, and they speak for the children. So they meet with the children, find out what the children want, then they go to court so that hopefully the children don't have to.
Okay. So that's one example of other.
Yep.
Are there other organizations you work with?
That is the one we work with the closest. We do. There are a few others that we work with occasionally. I would really like to connect with like the Self-Help Center because of that domestic violence factor. We just haven't lined that up perfectly yet.
Got it. And you also work with, I know that you work with United Way, but not in a
Yes.
partnership, but it's a different type of...
Yep, we do receive a grant from the United Way, so which is very fortunate.
Yeah, we had Nikki on the podcast a while back, and she was mentioning that your organization is I think called a partner agency.
Yeah.
Right. What does that mean, partner agency?
I believe through the United Way, it just means that we work together for the greater good of the community.
All right. So you receive some grants from them
Yep.
as well. And we're going to get into donations and grants in a little bit, so we don't want to jump ahead too much. Do you measure some of the outcomes? Are you tracking some of the results that you see?
So measuring is really difficult in our field because people leave our services for many different reasons. Could be because their parent rights were terminated. It could be because the children went home. It could be because the children went into a different placement, in a different state. So we don't measure so much like that. Our way of measuring is that we are providing services to the people that need it. So as long as we don't have a wait list, we feel like we're being that we're doing what we need to do.
You're meeting that need.
Meeting the need, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So, but growth might obviously be a natural aspect of your future because the more people that are aware of what you're doing, that those needs are going to increase, and then hopefully there's never a wait list.
Yeah, it sounds bad because we say that we feel like we're being successful when we're full, and that means that more children are in those situations. The fact is it's happening. Right. It's happening in our community. It's happening in every community. Right. When we're full, it means that there's more kids that have been pulled from that situation.
Right. Success is a relative term. And,
it is.
And obviously, in your situation, means you're helping the kids.
Yes.
And either to get out of the situations or at least not allowing them to maintain.
Yes.
Through supervision and things like that. So that's wonderful. So do you have? You mentioned mental health is something that you want to develop more and more. Talk to us about that. How do you see that being implemented at CFC?
So we do have mental health providers who work with our clients. They work with anybody in the community who needs it. We are always looking to hire therapists. There's a shortage of therapists in Casper right now. But having a mental health provider on staff is good because they can work with the children who are having visits. They can watch for those concerns that sometimes we may not know. The kids develop a relationship with their mental health provider, and they share things with them that we may not know. So working closely with their counselors and therapists is really important. So having that on staff makes it just that much easier for us.
Absolutely. Are there other programs you're working on that you'd like to see in the next couple of years, or is that the main one you're...
Those are our main ones. We continue to run our co-parenting class. So that's just a group-based class that teaches parents how to raise children within 2 homes. It's a very successful program. I would highly recommend it for anybody going through a divorce. So that is another thing that we'll continue doing.
If you think back over the past couple of years that you've been there, is there a significant story that stands out as like, this is why we do what we do? Maybe it's your story, but is there one particular incident that you can think of that really stands out?
It's going to sound horrible, but no, there's not just one. We have lots of stories of children going home, parents who have worked their case plan and have learned good parenting skills, and their kids have gone home and they've been successful. We hear it every day. So there's not one that just sticks out in my mind.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. All the families you meet are obviously
Yep.
benefiting from the service.
Yep.
That's great. So when a family reaches out to you or to your staff, what's the process? Can you walk us through that process of is there an onboarding process? How does it work?
Yeah, we have an intake process. So whoever's visiting will do an intake with us. We get a little bit of background information, and then we go over our rules. Our rules have been developed with the idea of keeping the children safe and having a good visit. So we go through that process with them. They know what to expect from us while they're at their visit, and we know they know what we expect from them. If it's a private pay case, then we will meet with the custodial parent as well and do an intake with them so they know what to expect as well, and they know what's happening when their children are in our care.
Okay. So you walk them through that, and then
Yep.
after that there's scheduled exchanges or visitations
Yep.
and things like that.
Yep.
Got it. So how are you funded? How do you? You're a nonprofit, obviously,
Yes.
but how do you do you receive grants? How does that work?
We do. So we do charge for our services. We try to keep it low so people can afford it. So there is a gap. We received funding through a number of different agencies. We get the United Way grant, the McMurray Foundation, Wyoming Community Foundation are a few that support us. We also have our big fundraiser every year, and we get private donations throughout the community. All of that is very important to us, continuing what we do.
All right. And then, so there's manual donations and individual donations,
Yes.
as well as, I think you have a fundraiser coming up.
We do. We have our fundraiser coming up on April 6th.
Talk to us about that.
Okay.
April 6th is just a little over 2 weeks away?
Yes.
A little less than 2 weeks away.
Yes. So this year is a new fundraiser for us. We are amping it up from years in the past. We are having a barn dance. We're going to have live music from Tris Munzik and the Innocents. We'll have a buffet from Occasions by Corey. We're going to have a gun palooza, which is a little different than a gun raffle, but yeah, and just dancing fun. And
sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Get on your cowboy hats and cowboy boots and
absolutely
go have some fun.
Yes.
So that's the 6th of April, is that
right? The
right?
6th of April from 6 to 9 at the Industrial Building.
So not tomorrow, not the week after that, but
the following week. Yes.
Week.
So 3 Saturdays from today.
So how do we get involved in this fundraiser? Is it do we buy tickets?
Yeah, you can find tickets either on our website or through our Facebook page. Tickets are $60. That'll get you in and get you to see the show.
$60 per person.
Per person, yes.
Got it. Okay.
We are selling tables. You can do a table of 10 for $600, so it's the cost of the 10 tickets. But then you get your guaranteed table all together instead of the possibility of being separated. So
besides the line dancing and all the fun that's going to happen that evening, there's also some raffles going on. So there's more fundraising in the ehaving. So it's not just the ticket sales. It's also
yes.
So
yep, we'll have a silent auction. So we have a few different auction items. And then we're having the gun palooza is what we're calling it this year. So it's a gun raffle. We will draw one winner from the first round, and they will be able to choose from, I'm not sure, 6 to 8 guns that we have there. So it's not just one gun.
Okay.
They'll get to choose which one they want.
So are these historic guns or just handguns?
Nope, just guns that are popular right now.
Got it. Okay, well, we'll leave it like that. So, is this your first fundraiser?
This is not. This is our 7th, I believe, 8th. 7th. Yeah, but it will be our first barn dance fundraiser.
Barn dance.
Yes.
Well, everyone needs a barn dance.
Yeah, and we haven't had one in the community, so we figured, why not?
So where's it at? Where's it located?
At the Industrial Building.
Industrial Building. What,
yeah.
Do you know the address?
It's at the fairgrounds. I don't know the exact.
On the fairgrounds. Industrial Building at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
We'll put that in the description. Okay. So every year you have these fundraisers. Is this your main focus of raising funds every year?
It is.
Okay.
It is. This is the one big one we do a year. We've been fortunate enough to have the Thankful Thursday a couple times, but this is our big fundraiser. So Thankful
Thursdays, that's at the Beacon, is that right?
It is.
And it's organized by Town Square, I believe.
It is.
It is. Okay. So that happens when you're invited. So it's not every Thursday.
They have one every Thursday for a different organization.
Okay.
So we you just apply to for your organization and they get you on the roster. So yeah.
And that's a great one as well.
It is a great one as well.
Shout out to Tom and his team here at Town Square for doing that every Thursday. It's a lot of work.
It is,
but it's excellent. It's an important thing for the nonprofits in the community. So your fundraiser, your main fundraiser, is in a couple weeks.
Yep.
And that plus grants plus individual donations. So if someone wants to donate, is there another way to donate if they can't make it to the dance? Which I hope they can make it to the dance. But if they can't, how else can they get a hold of you to donate? Because this is something that needs to.
Yeah.
People need to be aware of it, first of all. That's why we're doing this podcast. But more than that, be able to sow into this nonprofit.
Yeah. So we have a donation button on our Facebook page right now. I'm sorry, not our Facebook, on our website. So that anybody can go on there and donate if they're interested.
So in addition to fundraisers and things like that, are there other ways that people can support what you're doing? Do you look for volunteers?
So we don't do volunteers because of the nature of what we do. With the training and all of that, we don't usually have volunteers, but we are. We're very open to donations, so that can look in the form of anything you can think of. We cleaning supplies, garbage bags. We go through a lot of. We use grocery bags in the little garbages in each of the rooms. We go through a ton of those a day. So those art supplies, toys. As you can imagine, having kiddos in a room, for an hour, and they're throughout 10 hours a day, they're playing with the toys. They get broken pretty easily. So, things like that are always helpful.
Some organizations have a Amazon I think it's called a wish
yes,
list.
well, we don't have a wish list, but we do have Amazon Smile,
Okay.
which is fantastic. So if you are doing your own Amazon order for your own personal, and you put in there Casper Family Connections as your nonprofit, we will receive a donation from a percentage of that.
Okay. But maybe another idea would create a wish list
Yes.
on, because I know that another nonprofit in town, they do that, and they just make that available, and people can see exactly what they need, and everything from boxes of Kleenex to trash cans and everything that you need to run a nonprofit.
Yeah, that would be smart. I should do that.
So that's another idea. So what is your message to Casper? If you could say one thing to them about what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, what would be your message for the people here in Casper?
So what we're really trying to say is, it takes a village to raise a child, but a community to keep them safe. So we need the community's help to do what we do every day. We'll do the hard work, we'll do the day-to-day, but we need the community's support. So just sharing what we do, sharing our Facebook pages, coming to our event, just really helping us get our word out there so that we can continue keeping the children in our community safe.
That's wonderful. Carlia, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of the payroc Wyoming Spotlight. Be sure to like and subscribe, obviously, but do that to help push this vision, to have this vision reach more and more people. So share it, comment on what inspired you the most, so that the word can get out of what Casper Family Connections is doing. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.